Hello everyone and welcome to today's session, and today we'll be discussing the theory related to the chapter Cell, the Unit of Life. In this session we'll be discussing NCERT section 8.5 and this is the part 3 of the lecture. Before starting the lecture, I just want to give you one information that the images, text and other materials used in our presentations are for education purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathee@itk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that parts of the content may have been generated using generative AI, which is experimental. So what are the objectives of today's session? So first, we will understand the fluid mosaic model and the phospholipid bilayer structure. So we'll be talking about the structure of the plasma membrane. We'll identify some key components and the function of the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane. We'll also recognize differences between plant and animal cell walls. Okay, usually animals, they don't have a cell wall. Plant, they usually have the cell walls, which is made up of cellulose. Then we will explain selective permeability and membrane transport mechanisms. We'll describe cell wall composition and function as well. Let's talk about the eukaryotic cell, which will be NCERT section 8.5. Okay, within this topic, we'll be talking about the cell membrane and the cell wall. We will summarize this entire lecture. We'll discuss some NCERT-based questions related to these topics. There will be some keynotes and there will be some interesting questions. And there will be some interesting facts for you as well. In the end, there will be some interesting questions for you that will enhance your critical thinking ability. So let's start with today's session. So we'll be talking about the eukaryotic cell. So this includes all protist, plants, animals, and fungi. So kingdom Protista, this includes unicellular eukaryotes. Plants, they are also eukaryotes. Animal and fungi, both are eukaryotes, means they have eukaryotic cells. Okay. So what are the features of eukaryotic cell? Okay, let's talk about the main feature of the eukaryotic cell. So they have membrane-bound organelles. Okay, they have a true nucleus. Okay, means the nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear envelope. And within the nucleus, the genetic material is present, which is DNA. They have complex locomotory structures, which helps in the, which helps the cell to move, you can say, provides motility. They have advanced cytoskeleton, these cells. This is an image showing you eukaryotic cells. So you can see the eukaryotic cell have a true nucleus. Within the nucleus, the DNA is present in a condensed form, which is known as chromatin. Nucleus have a membrane, which is known as nuclear envelope. Then these are the various membrane-bound organelles. Okay, you can see mitochondria, Golgi apparatus. Okay, other organelles also can be seen here. Then this is the plasma membrane of the eukaryotic cell. Within the nucleus, nucleolus is also present. Nucleoplasm, this is the fluid of the nucleus. Okay. Then this is the endoplasmic reticulum, which is of two types, rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. You can see the peroxisomes here. Cytoplasm, okay, which is, you can say, fluid present within the cell. Lot of metabolic or biochemical reaction occurs in the cytoplasm because the enzymes are present here, which carry out these reactions. Clear? Then you can see Here, microtubules are present. Microfilaments are also present. So they have advanced cytoskeleton as compared to prokaryotic cell. Now, all eukaryotic cells are not identical in shape and size. Let's talk about the plant cell, which is also a eukaryotic cell. So plant cell, they are larger in size compared to the animal cell. They have a rigid cell wall made up of cellulose. So plant cell, they consist of a cell wall which is made up of cellulose. So you can use cellulase enzyme to degrade the plant cell wall. Animal cell, they lack cell wall. Plant cell, they contain an organelle known as chloroplast, which helps in photosynthesis. So chloroplast consists of the chlorophyll pigments. These pigments help in the photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, the light energy is converted into chemical energy, or you can say, in simple words, light energy is converted into food. Plant cell, they have a large central vacuole for storage. Remember this. They have large vacuoles. Clear? They have a fixed and regular shape due to the cell wall. So cell wall provides a shape to a cell. It provides structural support to the plant cell. Here you can see in this image, this is an image showing you plant cell. Plant cell, you can see they have large vacuoles. Okay, they have these membrane-bound organelles. They have nucleus. Here they have a cell wall. So presence of cell wall, then large central vacuoles, presence of chloroplast. These are unique feature of a plant cell. Then they have these plasmodesmata, which are cytoplasmic connections. Okay, you can see the other organelles also, mitochondria. You can see the cell wall here. Okay, plasma membrane you can see here. They have a true nucleus because they are eukaryotic cells. Now, plant cells, they contain plastids. So plastids can be of different types. First is chloroplast, which contain chlorophyll. Second is chromoplast, which contain the pigments such as carotenoid. Then there is a leucoplast, which is a colorless plastid. There are no centrioles present in the plant cell, except in some lower plants. So centrioles are present in the animal cells. There are no lysosomes also. Lysosomes are known as the societal bags. We'll talk about the lysosomes also. Now in the plant cell, the reserve food material is starch. So they store energy in the form of starch. Now they cannot change shape easily because of the presence of the cell wall. So here, this is an image showing you the plant cell. Now, what are the specific features of a plant cell? We were discussing about the features of a plant cell, but what are the features unique to the plant cell? The first is the cell wall, which is made up of cellulose. Next is plastid, especially the chloroplast. Then presence of large central vacuole. These are the features specific to the plant cell. Now let's talk about the animal cell. They are generally smaller as compared to the plant cell. There are no chloroplasts present in animal cell because animals, they are heterotrophs. Plants are autotrophs. Okay, plants are photoautotrophs because they have chloroplast in them. Chlorophyll consists of the chlorophyll, so they can convert light energy into food. Animals, they are heterotrophs, means they obtain nutrients from the other organisms. So there is no need of chloroplast here. Okay, no cell wall is present, only cell membrane is present. Okay, so this is also a very major difference between animal cell and a plant cell. Plant cell, they have the cell wall. Animal cell, they lack the cell wall. Now, the shape of the animal cell is irregular and flexible because there is no cell wall. Now, instead of a large central vacuole, animal cell, they have multiple small vacuoles. Here you can see this is an image showing you plant cell. It is only smaller than the plant cell. And again, it has a true nucleus because it is a eukaryotic cell. Then the other organelles are same as that of the plant cell. Animal cell lack chloroplast. And instead of a large vacuole, multiple small vacuoles are present. Okay, this is clear. Now, animal cell, they contain centrioles. Plant cell lack centrioles. They have lysosomes, but they don't consist of plastids. Now, reserve food material in animal cell is glycogen. So, the animal cells store energy in the form of glycogen. Now, they can change their shape easily because there is no cell wall present, only cell membrane is present. Now, what are the features specific to the animal cell only? So, one of the features is centrioles. Centrioles is only present in animal cell. Okay, it is not present in the plant cell. There is no cell wall. Instead of cell wall, there is cell membrane and no plastids are present. Okay, this is an image showing you structure of the animal cell. Okay, now let's talk about the difference between prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. Okay, so we are discussing prokaryotic cell. We have also discussed prokaryotic cells. So here is the table showing you difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. So you should know about these differences. The first difference is in nucleus. So prokaryotic cells lack a true nucleus. Instead of a nucleus, they have a nucleoid. So nucleoid is a region where the genetic material is present. Genetic material is freely floating in the eukaryotic cell. The eukaryotic cell, they have a true nucleus, okay, which is surrounded by a nuclear envelope. And the genetic material is present within the nucleus. Now, prokaryotic cell, they lack membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotic cell, they have membrane-bound organelles. Ribosomes is the case of prokaryotic cell, they are of 70S type. Okay, but in eukaryotic cell, the ribosomes are of 80S type. So ribosome present in cytoplasm, they are of 80S type, but ribosome present in organelles such as chloroplast and mitochondria, they are of 70S type. Okay, so that's why it is written 70S in the organelles. Which organelles? Mitochondria and chloroplast. So earlier, these mitochondria and chloroplast, they were thought to be bacteria which entered into or which were engulfed by the eukaryotic cell, and this bacteria became the part of this eukaryotic cell, and there was a symbiotic association. Okay? Clear? So bacteria is a prokaryote. It consists of 70S ribosomes. So these organelles, chloroplast and mitochondria, they have 70S ribosomes. So DNA in prokaryotic cell, it is circular, present in the cytoplasm. Okay, they also consist of extra nuclear DNA as well, known as the plasmid. Then in eukaryotic cell, the DNA is linear and present within the nucleus, also known as the nuclear DNA. Then prokaryotic cells, what are the examples? Bacteria and mycoplasma, these both are prokaryotes. Mycoplasma is the smallest living organism because it lacks the cell wall. And then example of eukaryotic cell, plants, animals, and fungi. Okay, here you can see this is an image showing you prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic cell consists of a nucleoid instead of nucleus. Okay, they consist of a cytoplasm. Prokaryotic cell, they have a cell wall as well. Okay, like in bacterial, cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan, also known as murine. They have cell membrane. They have pili. These structures help in the, you can say, reproduction, also helps in the conjugation, also helps in the attachment of this bacteria to the host tissue. Then flagella is for the movement. In case of eukaryotic cell, you can see they consist of a true nucleus. They consist of membrane-bound organelles. They consist of cytoplasm as well. Here. Now let's talk about the cell membrane. The cell membrane is also known as the plasma membrane. The electron microscope in 1950 enabled detailed study of the cell membrane structure. Okay, so we were able to study the cell membrane in detail with the help of electron microscope. Now, early understanding of the plasma membrane structure came from the chemical studies of the red blood cells membrane. Okay, now main components identified were lipids and proteins. So it was believed that the plasma membrane consisted of lipids and proteins. This is an image showing you plasma membrane. This is the fluid mosaic model of the plasma membrane. We'll discuss this model. Okay, so the plasma membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer. Pi means there are two layers. Okay, here you can see this is the phospholipid bilayer. There are two layers. Okay, proteins are also present here. You can see these are the peripheral proteins. Here there are some integral proteins also. This is a sugar molecule here. So this is the structure of the plasma membrane. Okay, now main membrane components are phospholipids in a bilayer structure. Okay, now this phospholipid consists of head and a tail. So the head are polar, they are water loving. The polar heads face outwards on both the sides, means on both the layers. Heads will be on the outer side. Here you can see these are the heads. These are present on the outer side. Tails are present on the inner side. These heads, they are polar. Okay, water living. Tails are non-polar. They are water repelling, you can say. Okay. Then hydrophobic tails point inwards. Hydrophobic means they are water repelling. This arrangement protects the non-polar tails from the water. Okay, that's why the heads are towards the outside, tails are towards the inside. Cholesterol is also present in the membrane. Clear? Some proteins are also present here. Two types of proteins are there, peripheral proteins and integral proteins. Fluid mosaic model were proposed by Singer and Nicholson in 1972. So they said that the plasma membrane consists of a lipid bilayer and is semi-fluid in the nature. Okay, so this semi-fluid helps the protein, you can say, to travel within the plasma membrane as well. These proteins help in the transport of the materials as well. Now, proteins can move sideways within the bilayer because the plasma membrane, this is semi-fluidic in nature. Now, what are the four key components of the plasma membrane? First is phospholipid, second is cholesterol, third is proteins. We have talked about the phospholipids. Okay, they consist of a polar head and a hydrophobic tail. Let's talk about the proteins. There are two kinds of protein, integral and peripheral proteins. Integral proteins, they help in the transport, signaling, and adhesion. And peripheral proteins, they help in signaling. Okay. And they also help in the enzyme activities as well. Okay. Then carbohydrate is also one of the key components of the plasma membrane. So this sugar, this is the carbohydrate. Here. Now the function of the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane. First is the transport of the molecules. So it is selectively permeable. Means it will allow the entry of only certain molecules inside the cell. Okay. Now this transport can be passive or active. First is passive transport, means no energy is required. So movement across the membrane without any requirement of energy, this is known as passive transport, such as diffusion and osmosis. So for diffusion and osmosis, you require a concentration gradient. Okay. So no energy is being required here in diffusion and osmosis. Diffusion, you can see, is different from osmosis. In diffusion, there is a transport of solute. In osmosis, there is a transfer of the solvent, particles of solvent molecules. Diffusion is the transport of the solute from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. And osmosis is the transport of the solute from a region of low concentration of solute to high concentration of solute. Then you have the active transport. So this is the movement against the concentration gradient. That's why energy is required in the form of ATP. For example, sodium potassium pumps. Okay. This is clear. Now, this is image showing you the membrane transport. Here you can see transport are of two types, passive transport and active transport. In passive transport, you can see there is a concentration gradient here. Okay. So on the one side, the concentration is more as compared to the other side. And due to this concentration gradient, there is the transport, or this concentration gradient facilitate the transport. Okay. Then here, this is the carrier protein present here. So we have seen this integral proteins and peripheral proteins. Integral proteins helps in the transport. Here. Now these are the channel proteins also. Here, then this is the active transport. This is happening against the concentration gradient. That's why here energy is being required. The transport of the molecules across the membrane. Let's talk about porins and aquaporins in the plasma membrane. The porins are channel proteins that form water-filled pores in the plasma membrane. Okay, this allows passive diffusion of small molecules and ions, typically less than 600 Daltons. Aquaporins are specialized channel proteins specifically designed for water transport across the plasma membrane. The aquaporins, they are involved in water transport across the plasma membrane. So it enables rapid and selective water transport or movement while preventing the passage of ions and other molecules. Now both the proteins, porins and aquaporins, are crucial for cellular homeostasis. Homeostasis is to maintain a particular state. Yes. So these proteins are crucial for cellular homeostasis and membrane permeability as well. But aquaporins are more selective than the porins. This is the only difference. Next is cell wall. Cell wall is a non-living rigid structure. Here it forms an outer covering for the plasma membrane of fungi and plants. So these cell wall are present in fungi and plants only. And it is outside the plasma membrane. Okay. So in fungi, the cell wall is made up of chitin. In plants, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. What is the composition of the cell wall? See, in algae, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, galactans, mannans, and minerals like calcium carbonate. In plants, it is majorly made up of cellulose. Okay. In addition to cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins, and proteins are also present. Here you can see this is the cell wall structure. This is the plasma membrane. And on the outer side of the plasma membrane, the cell wall is present. This is the primary cell wall. This is the middle lamella. Here you can see these are the pectin. Okay. Then you can see here this hemicellulose and cellulose microfibril as well. What are the layers of the cell walls? First is the primary wall. It is a young plant cell capable of growth. Then you have the secondary wall formed on the inner side of the cell matures. Then there is middle lamella. So middle lamella is layer mainly of calcium pectide, which holds adjacent cell together. So it is like a cementing material. Okay. It is made up of calcium pectide. It holds the two neighboring cells, two adjacent cells together. Plasmodesmata, these are the cytoplasmic bridges. They are cytoplasmic strands that connect the cytoplasm of the adjacent cells. Also you can say it as they connect the cytoplasm of the neighboring cells. Now this is an image showing you plasmodesmata. You can see these are two. You can see a plant cell. Okay, they have their cell wall. They are connected together through this plasmodesmata. Layers plasmodesmata, they are cytoplasmic bridges or cytoplasmic strands. This is a cell membrane. These are the large vacuoles here. This is the cytoplasm. This is the parasito. This is the cytoplasm. This is the plasmodesmata. Here, they have shown you the enlarged view of this plasmodesmata. Okay, clear? The plasmodesmata, it connects the cytoplasm of the neighboring cells. It helps in the transport also of the material from one cell to another cell. Now, we're talking about the cell wall. What are the function of the cell wall? Give a particular shape to the cell. Protect the cell from mechanical damage and infection. Okay, because the pathogens cannot enter through this cell wall. Now it helps in the cell-to-cell interaction also. Okay. Now let's summarize this entire lecture. So we talked about the fluid mosaic structure of the plasma membrane. So fluid mosaic structure composed of phospholipids and proteins. Okay. So lipid bilayer is present. Two layers of these phospholipids are present. Plasma membrane is selectively permeable. Controls movement of substances in and out of the cell. Contain chloroplast also for membrane stability. Has membrane proteins also for various functions. Cell wall in plants and fungi. Okay, cell wall is only present in plants and fungi, not in the animal cell. Plant, the cell wall is also present in bacteria as well. Okay, cell wall is located outside the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane, provides structural support and protection. It is made up of cellulose in plants and chitin in case of fungi. Allows water and small molecules to pass through them. Okay, also provides protection against certain pathogens. Cell wall helps to maintain cell shape and prevent it from bursting. Let's discuss some NCERT-based questions. The first question is, the fluid nature of the cell membrane is due to. Okay, so this cell membrane is semi-fluidic. Why it is semi-fluidic? What are the options? Due to the presence of proteins, second is phospholipid, third is carbohydrate, fourth is cholesterol. So what will be the correct answer? Well, let's have a look at the answer. The answer is option number C, phospholipids is the correct answer. The phospholipids have a unique structure with hydrophilic heads and hydrophobic tails. Means heads are water loving, tails are water repelling, so they can move freely within the membrane. Means there can be a lateral movement. Okay. Now the double layer of phospholipids create a flexible fluid mosaic structure. Temperature affects phospholipid movement and membrane fluidity. And cholesterol helps regulate fluidity, but it is not the primary cause. Next question, glycoproteins and glycolipids in the cell membrane are involved in What are the options? Cell division, energy production, cell recognition of it, protein synthesis. Let's discuss the answer. The answer is option number C, cell recognition. Let's have a look at the explanation. Glycoproteins and glycolipids in the cell membrane are primarily involved in cell recognition. These molecules form part of the cell's glycocalyx and serve as recognition markers, cell-to-cell communication signals, and binding site for other cells as well. Okay. Now, receptors for various molecules are also present. Here you can see this in me showing you glycocalyx slime layer and the capsule. See, when the glycocalyx is thick, it is known as capsule. When it is thin, it is known as the slime layer. Here. The next one, movement of molecules across the membrane without using cellular energy is called. Here, what are the options? Active transport, passive transport, facilitated diffusion of it. Endocytosis would be the correct answer here. So let's have a look at the answer. Answer is option number B, passive transport. So what will be the explanation? See, passive transport is the movement of molecules across the cell membrane without using the cellular energy. So it occurs along a concentration gradient from high to lower concentration gradient. Okay, for passive transport, you require a concentration gradient, high to lower concentration. So the molecules will move from higher concentration to lower concentration. Here you can see one is passive transport and the one is active transport. In simple diffusion, what is happening? A concentration gradient is made, so there is a transport of solutes from a region of high concentration to region of lower concentration. Then facilitated diffusion means a protein is facilitating the transport. This protein can be carrier protein or channel protein. Okay. So in this also energy is not required. So in simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, energy is not at all required. Now, let's talk about this question. Main type of passive transport include, okay, simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, osmosis. Okay, these are all passive transport. Clear? Here no ATP is required. Next question, membrane proteins that extend through the entire phospholipid bilayer are called. Okay, they're asking about the membrane proteins. The options, peripheral proteins, do they extend through the entire phospholipid layer? Next is integral protein, third is glycoprotein, fourth is surface protein. What will be the correct answer? So let's have a look at the answer. Okay, so option number B, integral protein is the correct answer. So these proteins are embedded within the phospholipid bilayer, meaning they completely span the membrane. Next one is peripheral proteins. These proteins are only attached to the surface of the membrane, not penetrating through it. Then you have glycoproteins. So these are proteins that have carbohydrate groups attached to them. They can be the integral or peripheral proteins. Next is surface proteins. So this term is not commonly used, but it generally refers to protein located on the surface of the membrane. It includes peripheral and some glycoproteins as well. The next question, cell surface markers that help identify cell types are primarily. What are the options? Phospholipid, cholesterol molecule, glycoproteins, or fatty acid. What will be the correct answer? Okay, option number C, glycoproteins is the correct answer. Let's have a look at the explanation. Glycoproteins are proteins that have carbohydrates attached to them and are found on the surface of the cell membrane. And these carbohydrates can play a role in self-recognition as well as signaling. Phospholipids form the basic structure of the cell membrane, while cholesterol helps regulate the membrane fluidity. Now, fatty acids are composed of phospholipids and other lipids, but are not considered a major structural component of the cell wall. Okay, next question. Which type of transport does not require energy? The options are active transport, passive transport, endocytosis, or exocytosis. What will be the correct answer here? Okay, option would be passive transport is the correct answer. What is the explanation? Passive transport does not require energy because it relies on the movement of substances down their concentration gradient. Okay, meaning from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration, making it a correct answer. Okay. Now there are some keynotes, okay, which will be very helpful for you. And these keynotes also consist of some interesting information. See, we talked about the cell membrane. It contains glycolipids that act as cell recognition markers, and has cholesterol that provides membrane fluidity. Can self-repair minor damages, can change permeability with the temperature. Now, cell wall in case of plants. So in plants, they consist of a cell wall, contain plasmidesmata for each to cell communication. Okay, so cell-to-cell communication is possible with the help of plasmidesmata. Now has pectin that provides the structural support as well. Show primary and secondary layering. Now self-regenerates when damaged. Some interesting questions for you. See, why can some molecules pass through cell membranes while others cannot? How do plant cells maintain rigidity despite high osmotic pressure? What makes the fluid mosaic model unique? Now, why don't animal cells have cell wall? Okay. How do transport proteins recognize the specific molecules? So these are all questions for you. Okay. You have to critically think them. Here. So this will enhance your critical thinking ability as well. So now we have discussed the theory related to this chapter. Okay, we will discuss the DPP now related to these topics. Now let's discuss the first question here. Which of the following is the major component of the cell membrane according to the fluid mosaic model? Okay. Now, first component they are saying is nucleic acid, second is phospholipid and proteins, third option is cellulose and hemicellulose, fourth is cholesterol and carbohydrates. What will be the correct answer? The correct answer here will be option number B, phospholipids and proteins. So the plasma membrane consists of a lipid bilayer. Okay, major component is phospholipid. Okay, these phospholipids have a polar head and a hydrophobic tail. So these heads are towards the outer side, tails are towards the inner side. So this provides stability also to the plasma membrane. In addition to this, they consist of integral proteins and peripheral proteins as well. These are the major components. In addition to this, other components are also present, like cholesterol, like carbohydrates. The next question, which organelle is responsible for synthesis of steroidal hormones in the animal cells? Options are rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, and lysosomes. What will be the correct answer? Okay, here the correct answer will be option number B, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, we'll discuss about these in our upcoming lectures also. Smooth endoplasmic reticulum is for the synthesis of steroidal hormones in the animal cell. Next one, what is the function of tonoplast in the plant cell? Okay, so plant cell, they consist of the vacuoles. Okay, vacuoles are surrounded by a layer known as tonoplast. First option is facilitate transport of ions into the vacuole. The next synthesizes carbohydrate. Option number third is forms the outer boundary of the cell, and option number 4 is produce ATP. What will be the correct answer? Okay, option number A is the correct answer here. Option number 1 is facilitate transport of ions into the vacuole. The next one, which structure is common to both cilia and flagella in the eukaryotes? Okay. So, first is 9+2 arrangement of microtubule, second is 70S ribosome, third is thylakoid membrane, fourth is cristae. What will be the correct answer here? Okay. So, answer will be option number 9+2 arrangement of the microtubules. Cilia and flagella, they both consist of axoneme, which has 9+2 arrangement of the microtubules. So, on the outer side, a ring of 9 microtubule doublet is present. In the center, 2 microtubules are present. This is common to both cilia and flagella. Both of them provide locomotion to the cells. They provide motility to the cells. Next one, in the chloroplast, where are the chlorophyll pigments located? What are the options? Stroma, thylakoid membrane, inner membrane, and the last is intermembrane space. What would be the correct answer here? Option number B, thylakoid membrane is the correct answer. These chlorophyll pigments, they are present in the thylakoid membrane. Clear? So we have discussed the DPP also. Okay, let's submit our answers. You can see all our answers are correct. Clear? So, with this, we end this session. I hope the session was quite knowledgeable for you. We'll meet you in the next session, and we'll be discussing the functions of the organelles in detail in the next session. Okay? Now, thank you very much for listening.